I used to work at this small cafe in town. I started there as a part-time barista while finishing college. My parents died when I was 17 and I'd been on my own since. Between student loans and working multiple jobs, I managed to graduate and work my way up to manager. The owners trusted me completely. They were like the parents I lost, always checking on me. By my second year, I was running the place and I loved it. The regulars became like family and my co-workers were my closest friends. Then she walked in. When she stepped through our door, everyone felt the air change. She looked around the cafe like she was inspecting a dirty bathroom. When she approached the counter, she didn't look at our barista. She rudely demanded a complicated non-fat, extra hot double shot latte with exactly one pump of sugar-free vanilla and almond milk that needed to be heated separately. No please, no hello, just barked orders while typing on her phone. Our barista, who was new and still learning, asked her to repeat the order. She asked if it was really that hard to remember a simple coffee order and said she didn't have time for such incompetence. I was in the back office but heard everything. I came out just as she finished her rant. I asked if there was a problem, and she told me that yes, there was. My staff was untrained and wasting her time. I smiled and helped the barista make her drink. When we handed it to her, she took one sip and slammed it on the counter, saying it was disgusting and telling us to make it again. We made it again and again. 3 times we remade her drink, and each time she found something wrong. By the third time, she didn't even taste it before complaining. That was her first visit. We learned her name was Karen, and she started coming in every day with the same attitude. She'd snap her fingers for attention, talk down to everyone, and leave mess for others to clean. She'd leave a 20-cent tip on a $7 drink and act generous. Our regulars started avoiding her usual time slot. My staff would draw straws to see who had to serve her. I tried to be professional, but each day it got harder. One Tuesday morning, we were short-staffed because a barista had a family emergency. The line was longer than usual, and everyone was patient. Everyone except Karen. She walked in, cut to the front of the line, and started yelling. She said she had a meeting in 10 minutes and didn't have time to wait behind all these people. A customer told her that we were all waiting our turn and she needed to go to the back of the line like everyone else. Karen asked if we knew who she was. She said she spent hundreds of dollars here every month and deserved priority service. I was making drinks while working the register. I looked up at Karen and asked her to wait her turn like everyone else, saying we were doing our best. She said our best wasn't good enough and asked to speak to the manager. When I told her that I was the manager, she said I should fire myself for running such a pathetic place. That's when she reached across the counter, grabbed my shirt, and yanked me forward, causing me to spill a hot drink on my arm. The pain was immediate. Without thinking, I pushed her hand away. She stumbled backward, tripped over her purse, and fell, hitting her head on a table. It wasn't a hard hit. She was conscious, but she stayed on the floor acting hurt. She said I had assaulted her and that everyone saw it, then said she was calling the police, and she did. When the police arrived, they took statements from everyone, including the dozen customers, who confirmed that Karen had grabbed me first and I had defended myself. The officers suggested she get checked at the hospital for her head injury, which she agreed to. A week later, I was served with papers. Karen was suing me for assault and seeking $250,000 in damages for her emotional trauma and physical injuries. I couldn't afford a lawyer, but one of our regulars was an attorney and offered to help me for free. He said my case was solid with all the witnesses and we had security camera footage. In court, Karen showed up with a neck brace and walking with a cane, neither of which she needed at the hospital after the incident. Her lawyer was a slick guy in an expensive suit who tried to paint me as unstable and aggressive. The judge wasn't buying it. After we showed the security footage and brought in 5 witnesses who all told the same story, my lawyer revealed that Karen had pulled the same stunt at 3 other businesses in town, trying to sue for various injuries. The judge dismissed her case and warned her about filing lawsuits without merit. But the real karma came a month later. Karen's employer, who happened to be a silent partner in our cafe, heard about her behavior and lawsuit. He fired her for being the kind of entitled person who makes the world worse for everyone else. I still manage the cafe, but now I have a new policy posted on the door. We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone who can't treat others with basic human dignity. We haven't had to enforce it once since Karen stopped coming in. I married my husband 4 years ago when I was just 18 and he was 33. I know what you're thinking, but we were complete strangers when we met, and neither of us knew our exact ages until I was already pregnant. By then we figured why not see it through. He's been nothing but loving, amazing with our daughter, and takes great care of me. My mother has always been a problem. She had me when she was a teenager, and she spent my entire life trying to control me. She would throw tantrums in the mall when my grandparents wouldn't buy her things, and she competed with her own children for attention. It wasn't until I saw my mother-in-law interact with my husband and his siblings that I realized what actual maternal love looked like. Since I married my husband, my mother has been trying to separate us. She has tried everything, planting women's underwear under our couch, claiming anonymous sources sent her screenshots of my husband's conversations with a mistress, and telling me he doesn't really love our daughter and me. The truth? My husband is 6'8", 300 pounds of muscle, but he's basically a golden retriever in human form. He's playful, energetic, and sweet. He loves picking me and our daughter up and tossing us onto the mattress for fun, or sometimes laying his full weight on me when I'm lying down. My mother thinks this is abusive, that a husband should treat his family like delicate flowers wrapped in pillows. She also claims he's controlling my eating because he stopped bringing dairy and chicken into the house after noticing they made me sick. Never mind that my acne cleared up and my sinuses improved. No, according to her, he's going to starve you to death. My mother also uses fear-mongering about my husband's past. They went to high school together in our small town, and he was in the same gang as my dad when they were teenagers. He had a history of fighting, but he got help in his early 20s and has been peaceful ever since. He's never once been violent toward me or our daughter. I had cut my mother out of my life for years, but after my dad died 7 months ago, right after I found out I was pregnant again, I felt like I needed a parent. So I started letting her back in, little by little. Big mistake. Things came to a head last week when I fell down the stairs. My leg gave out and I tumbled down in excruciating pain. My husband was gathering things to take me to the hospital while my mom stayed with me. When he was out of the room, she turned evil. My mother told me to get up and walk off the pain. She said that, as a mother, I needed to power through difficult situations. I told her I couldn't move because my arm and leg hurt too much. That's when she grabbed my injured arm and tried to force me to stand. When I couldn't, she started dragging me across the floor. My husband came back, and for the first time ever, I saw him truly angry. He pushed her away, picked me up, and carried me to the car. While I was in the hospital, my husband went back home to get some things. My mother was still there and tried to pick a fight with him, accusing him of abusing me and our daughter. According to my husband, things got physical when she wouldn't stop. He grabbed her arm, leaving a bruise, but showed restraint by not hitting her despite her accusations. That's when everything went to chaos. My mother told everyone that my husband pushed me down the stairs and assaulted her when she tried to help me. Suddenly, we were dealing with family and friends questioning how I could stay with an abuser. Someone scratched up my husband's car and popped his tires. People called him a woman beater. For a week, we didn't leave the house or answer calls. My husband tried to act happy like he usually does, but I could tell he was hurt. Our daughter was confused about why her dad's car was damaged and why she couldn't see her grandmother anymore. We explained to our daughter in kid-friendly terms that grandma had lied about daddy and made mommy and daddy sad. The police showed up twice, once for a wellness check because no one had heard from me, and again because someone claimed my husband was abusing us. I lost it then, breaking down in angry tears. I made an online post telling everyone to stop harassing us and to listen to me instead of my mother. This made things worse initially, but then my grandfather stepped in. He knows his daughter is unstable and promised to help. I don't know what he did, but the mob finally stopped. After being cooped up with a broken leg, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, who had been helping care for me while my husband worked, took me and my daughter out to surprise my husband at work with tacos. While we were out, I got a security camera notification. My mother and sister were at our door. My mother was banging on the door screaming that she knew I was inside and that my monster husband was keeping me and her grandbaby away. My sister was about to throw a rock through our window when we told them to leave our property. My mother started apologizing, begging me to open the door. I refused, explaining that I couldn't forgive her after she lied to everyone about my husband, pushing me down the stairs and assaulting her without provocation. She insisted that he did assault her and even tried to hit her. I told her it was her own fault and not my husband's, adding that what she said was so disgusting that I would have slapped her too if I were him. My mother scolded me for talking to her disrespectfully, reminding me that she was my mother and that her DNA ran through my veins. I shot back that my dad's DNA also ran through my veins, and that part of me wanted to beat her face with a sock full of pennies. This sent her into a frenzy, so we called the police. When they arrived, we pretended not to know my mother and sister at all, calling them strangers, harassing us. The police threatened to arrest them, and they finally left. The final showdown happened yesterday. I was asleep, but my husband, in-laws, and security camera caught it all. My mother showed up again, claiming she just wanted to make sure I was alive. My in-laws wouldn't let her in and threatened to call police. My husband came out, and they started arguing while my mother called him an abuser and for the first time, a Nazi. While everyone was talking, one of my brothers-in-law snuck around the house, grabbed the garden hose, and started spraying my mother down with water. She kept slipping on the grass trying to escape. Then he passed the hose to my husband, who chased her all the way to her car, soaking her and probably getting water inside her vehicle too. My husband had a big smile during and after the hosing. I bet it felt good to finally get some payback after all she put us through. We've now completely cut contact with my mother, changed our phone numbers, and have a restraining order in process. My grandfather still checks in on us and has become supportive. My husband's smile has become genuine again, and we're focusing on healing our little family and preparing for our new baby. I took my daughters to Kohl's a few months ago. We were having a good day browsing through the clearance racks and picking out some new clothes for the upcoming season. My youngest daughter had found this beautiful coral blue shirt that she loved. It was the last one in her size, and she was happy about it. We've been shopping for about an hour, and our arms were full of items we planned to purchase. I was thinking about heading to the checkout when things took a bizarre turn. We were walking through the junior section when this teenager, probably around my oldest daughter's age, suddenly appeared in front of us. She had this intense look on her face like she was on a mission. Without saying hello or introducing herself, she just blurted out that she wanted to take the shirt from my daughter's returns so she wouldn't have to restock it. It wasn't even asked as a question, more like a demand. My daughter looked confused for a moment, then realized the girl was talking about the coral blue shirt she was holding. My daughter told her that she was buying the shirt and didn't work at the store. I figured that would clear things up, but instead of apologizing for the misunderstanding, this girl stepped directly in front of my daughter, blocking our path, and raised her voice. She told my daughter that she had been looking all over for this shirt and wasn't leaving without it, then threatened to call my daughter's manager if she didn't hand it over. Who did this girl think she was? My daughter, who never backs down from confrontation, laughed and shrugged her shoulders. She told the girl to go ahead and call her manager, saying she'd like to meet them herself since she didn't actually work there. The random teen pulled out her phone and started dialing while glaring at us. I was about to step in when I noticed a Kohl's employee heading our way. She had heard the commotion from a few aisles over. The employee was a middle-aged woman with a name tag and the standard Kohl's uniform. She approached us and asked if everything was okay. The random teen complained that my daughter, who she thought was an employee, was refusing to give her the shirt she'd been looking for all day and was trying to buy it herself instead of putting it back on the rack where it belonged. The employee looked my daughter up and down, noting her casual jeans and t-shirt that clearly wasn't a Kohl's uniform, then told the girl that my daughter didn't work there. The random teen's mouth dropped open, but only for a second before she doubled down. She said my daughter still had the last shirt in her size and claimed she had seen it first. My daughter told her that wasn't true. She said she had found the shirt on the rack 20 minutes ago. It was the last one, and she was buying it. The random teen became more frustrated and said she needed the shirt for her Instagram photo shoot the next day, asking if we understood how important this was. I decided it was time for me to step in. I told the girl that my daughter had found the shirt fair and square and pointed out that there were plenty of other nice shirts in the store that would look great in her photos. The random teen said we didn't understand. She said this exact shirt was featured in Teen Style magazine the previous month, that everyone wanted it, and that she had already been to 3 different Kohl's stores looking for it. The employee who had been watching this exchange finally stepped in again. She asked everyone to calm down and told us we could continue shopping while she handled the situation. She gestured for us to move along, which we did. As we walked away, I could hear the random teen still protesting loudly. She was complaining about how unfair it was and threatening to talk to the manager and leave a terrible review online. We didn't stick around to hear the rest. We headed straight to the checkout line, paid for our items, including the coral blue shirt, and left the store quickly. As we were walking to our car, my daughter held up the shopping bag containing her new shirt with a smile. She said the experience had been entertaining and joked that the shirt was now her lucky shirt. I mentioned that we had learned something that day about entitlement. My daughter agreed and made a joke about how some people think the world revolves around their Instagram feed. We laughed about it on the way home, and my daughter wore that shirt to school the very next day. She even took a selfie in it and sent it to me during lunch with a message saying no entitled teenagers had tried to steal her shirt that day. Yet, every time she wears that coral blue shirt now, we remember the random teen who thought she could demand whatever she wanted simply because she wanted it. I work at Westside Medical Clinic, and last Tuesday started like any other day. The morning rush had us busy with the usual patients, seniors getting checkups, parents with sick kids, and the occasional emergency. Our sign-in system is simple. Patients write their name on a clipboard, and we call them in order. Dr. Miller is the only physician on Tuesdays, so the wait can get long. Around 9:30 a.m. this woman came in. She was middle-aged with an expensive coat and giant purse. She wrote her name at the top of our sheet and tapped her foot impatiently. I heard her asking my coworker about seeing the doctor for her medication and complaining about the wait time. My coworker told her the wait would be about 45 minutes. The woman sighed and looked at her watch. She complained about having important meetings. My coworker suggested rescheduling, but she said she needed her prescription today. After sitting for 5 minutes, she walked back to my desk. She said the wait was too long and she had to go somewhere, but would return. I warned her that leaving meant losing her place in line. She said she'd only be gone briefly and wanted to keep her spot. I explained our policy about signing in again upon return. She left anyway. We crossed her name off and continued seeing patients. The waiting room filled up quickly. An hour later, she burst through the door and came straight to my desk. She said she only needed 5 minutes with the doctor for her medication. I reminded her she lost her place when she left and would need to sign in again. She said that was absurd since she was one of the first people there. I said many patients had signed in since she left. She became agitated, insisting she only needed 5 minutes. I told her everyone else needed to see the doctor too. She asked for my manager. My supervisor came over and heard the problem. The woman said we were being unreasonable. My supervisor explained our policy about losing your place if you leave. The woman said no one told her this. I said I had. She said she just went to the pharmacy. My supervisor said we couldn't let people cut in line after leaving. The woman asked if she had to waste her morning waiting. My supervisor offered to let her sign in again or schedule another day. The woman said it was ridiculous, made a comment about knowing what she sees, and stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to knock off the bell. An elderly man joked about getting popcorn with his flu shot, and everyone laughed. We fixed the bell and continued our day. 2 days later, she returned, signed in without complaint, and mumbled something like an apology when it was her turn.